Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow, this is really cool.
This is nice.
Whoa, this is really cool.
Whoa, this is really, really cool.
That's cool. Is that new?
That's crazy.
That's cool.
Ooh, that's sexy.
Oh, you finally went to this version. Okay.
Yeah, the user interface, it looks great.
Nice. That would help a lot.
Can I move this here? Oh, I can. Oh, beautiful.
I love the new features that you've added.
I really like the new layout.
I loved working with all the little the user flow thing.
And it's definitely going to make it a lot easier to use.
It's a great experience.
We have, and this is the next game changer here.
No, it's pretty dang polished though.
Beautiful.
Hello. We're back again. More about Groundhogg 4.0 today. In case you missed the live stream on Monday, Groundhogg 4.0 went out mostly without drama, and so that's a win. Pretty happy with that. Everybody seems to be loving it so far. No site meltdowns in the support queue as far as I can tell, which is always good. And so for today, what I'd like to start off with, as we're going to dive deep into Groundhogg 4.0 and flows and triggers and all that fun stuff. But I just before I pushed go live, I was thinking to myself, it's been like basically 8 years. We started this in early 2018, went public in 2018, and then this has been my life every day, Groundhog Day every day since then. And I was thinking, wow, we've come a long way. I actually forget what Groundhogg used to look like and what using it used to be like. And so I don't know if you know this, but on WordPress, let me actually just pull up. I'm going to share my screen here. So on WordPress, you can go to any plugin if you're just on the details page. And you can click, by the way, if you haven't left a review for Groundhogg on the WordPress.org repository yet, please go do that. That'd be very helpful. But you can click on Advanced View, which is under the plugin details on the right-hand side. If you go ahead and click that and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can download every version that's been released of a plugin ever. And so I went and I downloaded 1.0.18 and I installed it. And I haven't run through it yet, but let's do that together. And we can see what Groundhogg used to look like in version 1.0.18 from, this would be 2018, either late 2018 or early 2019, one of them. I don't remember. It's been that long. And the change log for that is buried in a Git repository somewhere. So I have it open. This is what the dashboard welcome screen used to look like. Really embracing sort of like the cartoony Looney Tunes cutesy vibe, which we still do. I think we do it a little bit better than maybe we used to. But this is our old Phil. Phil got a redesign last year, which I'm pretty happy with. I think he looks pretty good. But this, and we got like text shadow, and we have a notice for this refer a friend campaign, which totally did not work. By the way, that's like our little MLM scheme, which absolutely was a total flop. Wouldn't recommend. We had at that point in time, like the menu was pretty short. Super links were part of the core plugin rather than a paid feature at that point in time. So sorry, you have to pay for that now. But what I wanted to do is, because like well, let's go look at the contact screen. This is contacts. It's a little bit, it's a little bit sparse. Certainly more sparse than it used to be. and no search filters is what I'm noticing. That's crazy. It's crazy how we actually launched with like basically nothing. Like you know, that's sort of like product development for you. It's like, if you want to get into the marketplace, you gotta get out there with something. You can't if you wait until you have everything, you'll never launch, right? So you kind of just got to start and then add things as they become needed. And so like there's no contact search filters. The export's just like a button. There's quick search, which is great. We got tags. The Superlinks UI is like super old, and the only thing that super tags did at the time was they only added tags. Now you can add, remove, and also update custom fields. Broadcasts is more or less the same. I mean, that's sort of like a pretty straightforward feature. Who wants to see the old email editor? Look at this. Look at the email templates. Like this is what our email templates used to be. It's crazy. It's been a long time. This was, you know, at the time, by the way, so in 2018, it was me and one other guy, Drewmit, and we did all of this in like 2 months. Okay. It's like this 1.0 version. This was like all right, maybe 3 months. It was like a 3-month sprint from like zero to launch. And so, I mean, that's pretty good for like 3 months. But these are all our templates, and man, like the template selection screen, like, you know, 8 years ago, it's not like this was old, right? It's like this looked pretty much like the rest of WordPress at that point in time. It's like nobody, like Elementor was like new and flashy, and like they sort of like certainly upped the game in terms of what people expect from like a WordPress product in terms of UI and stuff, and React was new and all of those things. But so all that was coming out, and we were still using like the previous, like the standard technology and the standard design patterns and everything. And so we hadn't really got that there yet. So this is what it used to look like. If I actually click on this and open it, oh my goodness. Wow. we just have a table of replacement codes underneath. Just like, there they are, copy and paste them into your content. It's still drag and drop though. So there you go. Blocks on the right here. Send a test or choose who it comes from. You can toggle HTML. You can't do that anymore. That's gone. So now you can either import HTML, like in a proper like HTML file or template from like BeFree or Stripe or whatever. But you can't, if you're using the block editor, you can't edit the HTML directly, because then you can't edit the blocks because the blocks expect a specific format. But wow, this is not what it looks like anymore. Obviously, for anyone who's not used Groundhogg yet, this is old stuff. So, yeah, crazy. Let's go look at funnels. Obviously, they're not called funnels anymore as of 4.0. They're called flows now. But let's have a look. So this is our old template selection screen. So we still have this. It looks a lot better now, in my opinion. Like if I actually go, like this is what the template selection screen looks like now. It's a little bit more beautiful. You can filter it. It's got previews of what you're actually importing. But this is what it used to look like. A little bit simple, underwhelming. Let's go ahead and import. Holy crap. Wow. Okay. So, wow. That's crazy. It is crazy how far it's come since those early days. Some of the UI is broken, but that's to be expected from installing a plugin that's like 8 years old on a new version of WordPress. So yeah, all of these settings, so all the step titles aren't generated. You have to manually edit them. All the settings are just like in the thing, so it gets really long. There's obviously no branching. There's no conditional logic yet. It's just if they do the form, then they go into the actions, and if they do the thing, confirming their email, we didn't even have like a specific step for that. We just had like if they visited like a page and they clicked a link, then we would track that. We didn't even have, I don't think, like proper like opt-in statuses at that point in time. Just tags. Let's look at what the old HTTP post used to look like. Wow. It's so janky. Wow. I feel almost guilty for like making people use this. Oh boy. Wow. Crazy. That's crazy. I love it, kind of, right? It's like you go look at like old, it's like authors, they go back and they read their old books and their old chapters and their old writings, and they're like, oh my God, I wrote that. It's like, oh my God, I released this. It's crazy. All the old icons, they're PNGs and they're all different sizes. And hey, but you know what? It did work. Like if I put someone in here, like they would get an email. So there's that. Could add contacts, select by tags, select where to start. We had reporting. We didn't have like a proper reports dashboard yet. So all the reporting was directly within you had to open the funnel and then toggle reporting. Now we have like a proper dedicated reports page for the flows. And so I think that's a lot better. Wow. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna install. I also wanted to install our 2.0 version because that's fun. So let's go. I think probably the best example of a 2. version would probably be maybe like, let's try 2.1.1. Let's try that. Let's go install that. This is obviously not, if you're here for 4.0 stuff, we're gonna get there, but I'm kind of just intrigued at this point to see how far Groundhogg has come. Click here to update. Okay, so things are starting to break because this was all loaded in via an API, which is since no longer available. The menu got updated. We have the GoPro link and stuff, and all right, we're getting into. We should have filters at this point now, right? Do we have contact filters yet? No, we still don't have contact search filters. That's fine. But if we go to a funnel. Yes, this is what I remember. Okay. So this is the start of the UI where we have like the step flow on the left, and then we have the settings on the right, and you would click, and this is all draggable. And if I wanted to add, I'd have to scroll to the bottom, and I could do the toggle between. So this is the start of sort of like a more familiar user experience of using Groundhogg. We at this point had moved out a lot of the actions and triggers to a paid add-on, which most of you know is the advanced features add-on, which kind of just like the collection of stuff that you need to use, like super links. And we had the advanced email editor, and we had downgraded the email editor to this. That's right. And then in 3.0, we re-upgraded the email editor back to like a proper block editor with HTML. And now everybody has access to that, regardless of whether you're paid or not, because I'm a generous person. But for the sake of money, we had downgraded the email editor, and that original block editor, which got a facelift, got moved to like a paid add-on. For what it's worth, we did give people the opportunity, if they were using free, and then we removed those features, but they were using them, we gave them those features back for free. So it's worth noting that we did that in an ethical and reasonable way. So everybody that was free, that was using those features, they got grandfathered, but we asked them for money anyway. Some of them gave it to us. Yeah, crazy. What else? Yeah, this funnel editor is the email preferences screen. So we used to have like there wasn't even like a dedicated preferences center that the Groundhogg has now. It used to be you had to go, it came in pre-installed with this template, and you had to copy the form shortcode, and you had to go embed that wherever you wanted your preferences to be, which is a totally wild user experience to expect of somebody. Because for literally every other email marketing platform, that's just automatic. And now it is, obviously, but it's crazy that we expected people to like do that. Yeah, we can do full screen. This would be the replacement codes. This would be adding contacts, sharing, exporting. Yeah, so, and we still had reports within the editor. So fun. I wouldn't recommend going to like try these old versions. Let's do, I think 2.7 was another big update. So let's do one of the later 2.7. We'll do 2.7.10. I think those were some of the more better. More better 2.0 versions is those later ones. Let's have a look. Yeah, so this is something that most of everybody, if you've been around Groundhogg for at least a few years, this is the funnel editor that is the most probably familiar with everyone. Is we have the step flow on the left, we have the icons, which are drag and drop into the flow, toggling full screen. We have this admin bar here. You can go to the reports page. This is the introduction of like actual like a reporting screen. Oh, there's a lot of updates to do. We'll just click that and hopefully nothing breaks. The new dashboard, which is not really a dashboard, it's more just like a welcome screen, but like the addition of the quick start checklist. Yeah, this is the menu is definitely more organized now. Yeah, this is the Groundhogg that most of us, the funnel editor that most of us are likely familiar with. Do we have, oh yeah, we've got the new form editor. The form editor used to just be shortcodes, which is also crazy. It worked though. It worked for the time that it was meant to. Yeah, this is the old one, right? So it's just shortcodes. You kind of like it's like kind of like a contact form 7 vibe, which is sort of like what we modeled it after, which maybe wasn't the best choice, but you know, it's the choice that we made at the time. We make a lot of choices and we get a lot of feedback, and we do our best to implement that feedback in a reasonable way. I think our email editor at this point is still, yeah, we still got the plain text editor, which I liked actually. Honestly, if it was feasible to just continue having this as an option in Groundhogg, I probably would. Just because like you just go in and you write and you have links, and I find that it creates a more personable relationship. The new block editor, you can still do that. It's just more clicks. So it's a trade-off, right? You can do more, but everything's more clicks, right? This was like the least amount of clicks, and so it was the fastest. But anyway, I digress. It was easy. The preview used to look like this. It would show them side by side. And it would show this. We'd have two icons, one for mobile and one for desktop, but they both just opened up the desktop and mobile side by side. And what I'm just noticing is that they're not even on like the same side. Like that's kind of quirky. Custom headers. Yeah, so it's all there for the most part. We have to have search filters at this point now, right? Yeah, we do. Okay, we have filters now in 2.7, so that's good, right? You gotta have a way to like filter and segment your contacts. Kind of important. And this is the introduction of the new contact record screen. I didn't actually show the old contact records. Maybe I should have. I didn't actually think to do that. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go back and look because I'm so curious. Here, let's go back and look at this version. This may or may not break the site. We're about to find out. Wow. All right. So this is the first version of like the first 1.0 version of like the contact record. Wow. Okay, so none of the tabs work. So this is all broken. That's fine. Maybe I have to do this. Do a hard refresh. No, still broken. Wow. Mark is unsubscribed. At this point in time, we were a little bit stingy about being able to like change their subscription status manually because we were sort of like trying to like enforce compliance and list management practices, and eventually we just gave up doing that and decided to trust the user a little bit more and just let you guys manage the Optum status manually, which I think was probably the right call. But I was coming from Infusionsoft, and they were really stringy about letting you manage the subscription status. They'd only let you edit it in certain ways at specific times. And so we kind of just followed that practice. But I think it makes more sense to just be like, hey, this is an open source product, so just like be smart, right? Here are the keys to the car. Don't crash it. Yeah. Crazy old stuff. And so we went from this, right? Let's go back and open up our funnel editor. We went from this, okay? The 8 years ago, we went from this to this as of Monday. So it took 8 years to get from here to here. Pretty crazy. What an evolution, right? That's how she goes, though. That's how she goes. So why don't we talk about this while we're here, right? So this is obviously Groundhogg's brand spanking new flow editor, live as of Monday with Groundhogg 4.0. If you're coming from ActiveCampaign, HubSpot, Marketo, Infusionsoft, Keep, the artist formerly known as Infusionsoft, ConvertKit, now Kit, Drip, right? If you're coming from any of those platforms, this user experience is certainly a lot more familiar than this. This is what people are expecting right now of marketing automation systems. And so we delivered on that. The things that are new within the Flow editor is all of our logic branching stuff. And you can also create branches using adjacent triggers. We renamed flows, or we named funnels to flows, benchmarks to triggers. That's just more in line with the industry standard of naming things at this point. It's less of a leap for new users to go from automations to flows, or from workflows to flows, or from automations to flows, right? So it's less of a leap. And triggers is like basically the word that everybody uses at this point. So we're going to use that as well. But we have all this branching stuff now. If we go ahead and we click here, we have all of these logic sets. You have like yes, no logic, or yes, no branching. We'll go ahead and add that. They go down either the yes path or the no path. That's included in the free version of Groundhogg. Everything else is paid. like the multi-branch, which you see here, which is basically the same as the yes, no, but you define the conditions on a branch basis. We have split testing, so A/B testing. You can send down A or B, and then you can split the traffic randomly between both branches, and you can put a bunch of different email templates in each branch, and then track whether that creates more conversions or not. Random distribution. So that's kind of like the split test, except there's no reporting. But you randomly send down any number of branches. You can add more branches, and you assign each branch a weight, and then they will randomly go down one of those branches. You got looping, you got stopping. You have this thing called the smart date sequence, which is really cool. So what this does is if you have like a year long, I'm actually going to open up a new funnel to. Did I install a holiday sequence? I did. So the way that this works is if you have a holiday sequence with like a bunch of holiday emails, and you add them to the flow, then they're going to start at the first timer, which might be like January 1st, which means that if they get added in June, they have to wait 6 months till the year rolls over to actually get started at like the Happy New Year's email on January 1st of the next year. And so what the smart date sequence does is you put all of those timers and all of your emails within the smart date sequence. It will add them instantly to the upcoming timer that is closest to the current date that they're added to the sequence. And so if you have a year-long sequence here and they get added to the sequence in June, they're going to skip all the way to, I guess the only timer here is we have the July 1st timer. So they're going to go to the first next closest timer to the date that they were added. And so that allows you to create like these super long date-based sequences without having to set up like a ton of conditions about like when the date is and whatever. So you can just write and you can put it and they get added to the correct place regardless of when they enter. And I think that's a pretty cool feature. So that's also available when you have a Groundhogg paid plan. And we have, and I love the new icons, like old icons, new icons, old icons, new icons, but they're not even color coded at this point. They're just like gray. And we had these for way too long. That's okay though. We made it eventually. It took 8 years, but we did it. We eventually got here. Which I think everybody is pretty happy with. Let's go ahead and go back to the we still have full screen though. Look at that. That still works. That's leftover. That made it. That actually, did we have that? Oh, I guess that was added in version 2. That's okay. But you know what did make it all of the way is what made it all of the way is this export feature. So I don't know if you know this, but like, so everything in Groundhogg is portable. And so like pretty much everything can be exported and imported. So if you wanted to like export a funnel, you could do that. All you got to do is you got to click on the 3 dots and then export. It's the second option. And that will download a file. And you can take that file and you can go to another Groundhogg installation on a different WordPress site and import the funnel there. It'll build all the funnel. It'll import all the emails. It'll add all the tags. Bada boom, bada bang. So that's pretty cool. So that made it all the way. Actually, I wonder. We're going to do an experiment real quickly. If I here, I'll update this and I'm going to export it. And we're going to see if we can import it. There's absolutely zero way that this will work, but we're going to try anyway. Import flow. Import. Yeah, okay. No, that didn't work. It was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's too bad. It's too old. It's too old. It's worth pointing out, though, that if you do have funnels exported from version 2 or version 3, those will be able to be imported into Groundhogg 4.0. So Groundhogg funnel flows, called flows, damn it. Groundhogg funnel flows are backwards compatible to like 2.7. So if you have any exports from there, or you have any old sites, you can those can be migrated up without issue. have a bunch of new templates. What templates did we used to have? If we go look at, we have welcome series, hype series, long-term nurture, lead magnet download, feedback request, start from scratch. We used to have like a start from scratch template. We didn't used to have just the button that's like start from scratch. You used to have to like import the start from scratch template, webinar registration, feedback request. A lot of those have actually made it all the way through. I mean, they've been updated obviously as over time. But if I go to add, it's like we have a lot of those. Event RSVP and reminders, so that's like kind of like the webinar one. Long-term nurture made it. Lead magnet download made it. Or request for feedback made it in the format of the NPS survey. Onboarding series is kind of like that. Oh, actually, the welcome series made it all the way. The onboarding series. What else? Yeah. And start from scratch is now a button instead. We have the start from scratch button instead of an explicit template. And the email preferences, well, that's no longer a funnel template at all. That's baked in now. That's automatic. It's immovable. It's unchangeable. It's and it works automatically. So that's pretty cool. I just keep thinking to myself, what a massive monumental undertaking it was to get to this point. Totally worth it though. Totally worth it. If you think it was worth it, just drop a comment that said it was worth it so that I know. Here, we'll add this. Was it worth it? Add banner. There we go. Was it worth it? I think so. So listen. Alicia says it was worth it. Thanks, Alicia. Greg also says worth it. All right. So that's a little. I was feeling a little bit nostalgic this morning, so I thought I'd take us down a little trip down memory lane. If anybody else is curious about sort of experiencing what Groundhogg used to be, then go to the WordPress listing, leave a review. Make sure to do that. Make sure you leave a 5-star review for Groundhogg, and then scroll to the bottom of the advanced view page. And then you can download all of the old versions down to 0.9.14. I actually tried to install that one. It did not work. So don't do that. Just immediately crashed the site. So don't do that. Don't download any things that says unstable on it. That would not be good. But yeah, they're all there. So super cool. Super cool. Okay. Let's talk about 4.0 now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up this. If anybody has questions about 4.0 in general, please go ahead and pop those in the comments. We're just hanging out, having a good time, and informing people of the good word of Groundhogg 4.0. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop in. This is a truly exemplary feat of software engineering, in my personal opinion. What we've done here, we came up with like unique ways of like doing directed graph traversal in like the most optimized way, without actually having to traverse each node. And so like we could actually some of the algorithmic development that went into this is like worthy of like a scientific paper, which I might write at one point, just to be like, here's how you do rule-based directed graph traversal based on like the specific rules of like, triggers, right, can have their own subflows, but only one. And then like logic steps can have multiple branches, right, and all this stuff. But it's very, very, very cool. I might write that. I might write a blog post on the actual science, or I don't know what you would call it, math, or like the rules behind like directed graph traversal in Groundhogg. I think it's worth it. If you would read it, let me know, and I'll write it. But anyway, I love one of the things that I love most about sort of like new Groundhogg is the fact that there's like email previews that you can see now. In old Groundhogg, if I go back here, and so there's no email preview. Like it's just a drop down, and you can select one of the email templates that you've created. And if you want to see the preview, you have to click edit email, which is a bit of a pain. That's one of the user experiences that also made it, is that the email editing always opens up in like a modal, and then you can just edit it from the editor, the flow editor. I think that's really like the best user experience for email editings when you're editing a flow. Like in a bunch of other ones, like if you edit an email, it takes you to like another page and like another tab, and that's dumb. Like if you're editing a flow, you should stay on the flow screen. You shouldn't go anywhere, and getting back to the flow should be just as easy, right? And so you want to design the product in such a way where while you're doing the editing of stuff, right, the rest of the information that you need is still accessible. Because like if I want to go grab a link that's in another step, I just want to be able to go grab that and then go back easily. I don't have to be like tabbing in and out of like different pages and stuff. So that's one of the user experience sort of like the patterns. I guess this would be like a user experience pattern that has always remained consistent, is that when you're editing an email, it's always opening it up in this modal. And then when you want to go back, you can just click the X button, or you can click on the frame or whatever, and then it just brings you right back. Yeah. Totally inconspicuous to you, the end user, right? You're not thinking about things like that. It's like, oh, this is designed this way for a reason, but these are the things that as product people, we're thinking about. So it's just like a little bit of an inner eye look to sort of the reasons that we do things and the way that we do things. It's like the least number of clicks possible, right? But this is something that I like about new Groundhogg. This isn't necessarily like 4.0. I think this was introduced in 3 dot something. But actually like having the email preview when you like click on a step, I think is game changing. Like you want to know what you're working on, right? I can't believe that we didn't have it for like literally 6 years, which is crazy. But I digress. What else has changed significantly? Obviously the form editor. If we go look at the form builder. So, I mean, when we did this form builder, we really sort of emulated the Elementor form builder, if you're familiar with that sort of user experience. Like you add fields, right? And then you select what kind of field you want. And then you do all the settings for the field. And then there's some advanced stuff. And then there's a button, and you edit the button. And then you copy the code and go put it in a page. Pretty straightforward. Everybody seems to really appreciate the sort of Elementor form experience. So we emulated that a lot. It's a little bit even more simpler than the Elementor's form editor, but at the same time, it's like we're not a form company, right? There are entire products dedicated to the design and production of forms for WordPress. There's like 14 of them. We offer integrations for most of them, and it's like people want us to like do like really crazy things with forms, and I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that. It's like this is what we have. It works. It is moderately well designed, and you can like choose like different themes for it as well. So if you want like different themes, I could choose like the simple theme, and I can make the button red. If I click on preview, it's going to have a red button. It's going to have some fields, and that works. It works perfectly fine. And if you need more than that, then you can use one of our integrations. But yeah, so this is new versus short codes, row, column, first column, close the column, open the column, last, close the column, close the row. I don't even think, it does have a preview. Look at that. So this is what the preview was. That actually works kind of well, doesn't it, still? Crazy. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. Andrew asks, are you planning on making the form builders work conditional field logic? No, we are not. And we are not going to. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, as I mentioned, there are product people whose lives are entirely dedicated to making products like conditional field logic for a form builder, right? And those people spend 95% of the time working on just that form product. We not only have a form product, we have a CRM product, a marketing automation product, an email marketing product. We have this whole overarching suite of things that once we start, opening Pandora's box of like doing like stuff that is our full paid features in other products, it's like you can't go back from that. And so I do not see us going down that road anytime soon. Not until we have a bigger team and more time and a lot more money for R&D. We have our hands full as it is right now. So I do not see that happening in the near future. I hope that answers your question. Might be a bummer of an answer for you, but in my personal opinion, right, if you need conditional fields and forms, right, then you're collecting information in the wrong way. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there's lots of different ways to get the information that's necessary. I understand that sometimes you need conditional fields, like if you're like an auto shop and you want to collect, all right, if their make is a Mazda, choose the model, and your options are CX3, CX5, Mazda 6, that's mine, Mazda 3, like whatever. If like, I understand, like for use cases like that, that's useful. But there's different ways to collect information in a user-friendly experience that doesn't require like conditional fields. One of the patterns that we have for Groundhogg is we have this sort of pattern here. This is not the paid version of Hollerbox. Let me go. Open up sort of one of the things that we do for Groundhogg. So this is one of the things that we have for Groundhogg, like one of the patterns that we use in order to do like customer information collection. And it's just a pop-up after someone signs up for the first time, and we're like, let's personalize the experience. It's like, who are you? It's like, all right, well, I'm an agency. I've been in business for 1 to 2 years. What is going on in your life that made you want to switch to Groundhogg? Like these are more customer-friendly patterns, in my personal opinion, than like the conditional field stuff. Again, there's times and places, right? But our forms are not one of those times and places as of this current moment in time. It's too much to do on top of everything that we already do. But I said that about flows, and I said that about branching in flows. So, who knows? I might change my mind at some point. It won't be tomorrow, though. I can tell you that much. By the way, thank you for the question, Andrew. I appreciate it. Jumping in there. Business Technology says that speaking of old books, referencing my comment about going back to old versions of software and being like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote this. Congratulations on still getting commission checks for books that you wrote 10 years ago. Tech books. I don't know why anyone is reading tech books from 10 years ago, because that's all obsolete by now. Unless it's COBOL, in which case that will never be obsolete because the world runs on COBOL. Yes, I know what COBOL is. I might look young, but I'm a little bit knowledgeable about some stuff. Andrew says the new platform looks fantastic and it's one of the most intuitive flow builders I've used. Awesome job. Thank you, Andrew. We worked really hard on it. Like I said, it's been a long slog, a long 8 years of R&D to get from here to here. Like truly an incredible like jump in terms of like usability and technology. And we wrote. Okay, so like a lot of people come to me and like, oh, did you use React or did you use Vue or like what did you use? No, we wrote stuff for this. It's like we did like React and everything, and it's like build tools and like all of that's like way too complicated, too much overhead. We wanted this to be like super highly optimized. We wanted to be like super fast, and so we actually like this like we used one library. It's called MorphDOM, which is like a HTML diffing algorithm, which is great. Kudos to whoever wrote MorphDOM. Like we absolutely use that. It's open source, and so that's great. But like in terms of like the actual HTML generation, it's like all from scratch, all totally custom. And so that we're not using any sort of like modern HTML sort of like reactive UI building tools for this. Like, and so huge undertaking. The legacy enterprise tech is still sadly supported, as you know. Hey, listen, if it ain't broke, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a lot of if it ain't broke, don't fix it like stuff in Groundhogg, like in the code base still, because it's not broke. It's optimized, it gets optimized over time, but like PHP, I think, is like a great example of stuff that every month tech bros and React supporters and Node.js people like get on X or Twitter or Tumblr or Reddit or whatever, and they ask, is PHP dead? It's time for PHP to go away. And it's like PHP is like 75% of the internet in terms of like actual websites that people browse and in like technical infrastructure that's underlying. It's like WordPress, which is like 55% of the top 10 million websites, is still like, it's PHP, right? And, it's getting into the React stuff, but like the infrastructure, there's no better infrastructure for delivering super fast websites than PHP. Like PHP, like the benchmarks for PHP 8.3 are like incredible, right? Compared to like 5, right? If you go back to like 5.6, right? The speed difference is astronomical in terms of like, it's like milliseconds, right? But when you're serving 10,000 requests a day, that those milliseconds make a huge difference, right? So I don't have anything against legacy tech. It's there, it works. jQuery, people love to hate on jQuery, but you know what? Who still uses jQuery? We still, people don't care as long as it works, right? There's jQuery in here. I think we're using jQuery.sortable for the drag and drop features. Like it works. Like why reinvent the wheel, right? Like you don't care as long as it works, which it does, which is great. So anyway. Yeah, is PHP dead? No, PHP is not dead. It is thriving. I went to our local university is Brock, which is in St. Catharines. I'm in Niagara Falls, Canada. St. Catharines is about 20 minutes west, and our local university is Brock. And I went to they asked me to go basically network with first year computer science students. So like I go to my local Chamber of Commerce meetings, and I'm talking to someone who is part of the co-op program at Brock, and she's like, you seem like you're like really good at networking. Do you want to come to this event and like network with first years, because they need experience and training and mentorship in terms of networking? And I'm like, that sounds like fun. Sure, why not? I'll go shake hands and whatever. And I'm like the entrepreneur in the room, and there's other entrepreneurs in the room, but I sort of like, I'm holding court at my booth in the corner, and I'm just getting asked, like, because I'm in business for myself, I own my own company, and they're like, what's that like? And what's working with customers like? And is it a good idea to open up a business with your friends and whatever? And I'm answering all these questions. And where was I going with this? I had actually had a point, and now I don't remember what it was. Anyway, and one of the questions that I got asked is, all right, well, if you're going to actually build a product, like how do you start? Like, what do you use? Like from like a technology perspective, my answer for them is, if you never want to be broke, learn PHP, because it's one of the most widely used like code base, like it's the most widely used infrastructure for digital. If you want to make money, like work in digital, if you don't want to be broke. Like, listen, if you want to go like create crazy new stuff, right, and you want to go like make an iPhone or something, like obviously PHP is not the way to do that, right? But if you're interested in like marketing and digital and internet infrastructure and all of that, it's like learn PHP, because then you'll never be broke, because there's so much work available for people who are really good at PHP, because you need those people for WordPress, you need those people for Laravel, you need those people for whatever. Like Facebook's infrastructure is still PHP, right? They have this new modern front end stuff, but like in the back end, like talk about legacy, talk about legacy code. Anyway, we have a follow up. If you use Vue next for a few years and then go back and do some jQuery, you will understand the angst. Well, I'll have you know that in 2025. So in 2021, okay, in 2021, we tried to go to like a Vue React direction for the email editor, the funnel builder, as it was known at the time, and a bunch of other stuff in Groundhogg. We tried to go in that direction. I hired two really smart guys, and I spent $100,000. Never came out. So jQuery it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I mean, like, how could you tell? You'd never be able to tell like what's being used, right? It's like, you don't know, you don't care. People don't care. That's the thing. People don't care as long as it works, right? So, and that applies more to than just software, right? If you're a service provider providing anything, as long as the customer gets the end result that they're looking for, it doesn't really matter the steps that it takes or the underlying infrastructure, the technology, whatever that gets them to that end result, as long as they get it, right? As long as they get it. Anyway, okay, that's my rant. Any other thoughts, questions? People want to know stuff about 4.0, about cool stuff. Like, I'm still like, so it's like, we've been building this for like 3 months, 2.5 months, nonstop, super sprint, 12-hour days, 7 days a week, weekends. I haven't had a day off in God knows how long. I took like a half day off on Monday after the live stream. I'm like, I'm so tired. And I took after the live stream, I turned off and I'm like, I'm gonna go have a break. And then I was working till 11 p.m. last night anyway. But my point is that we've been so focused on putting all this stuff together, like we don't even know all of like the potential and possible use cases yet, right? Like we've been just focused on putting it together, that we haven't actually done a whole lot of using it yet, besides just like the stuff that we are already using on like Groundhogg.io for like retention and the demo stuff and whatever. Like we like all of the possibilities. I'm not even aware of all of the possibilities yet. So those will show up over time. So I don't even have like all of like the demonstrations to go in and just like start showing you stuff unless people ask me. It's like, well, how would you approach like this situation? Like I don't know until somebody asks me, and then I can actually like demo it. So I can't even just go in because I don't even know what's possible until prompted. So if you have a question, now is the time to ask. We do have a question from Business of Technology impending. So we'll wait for your question. So the question is, how do we jump ahead in a flow? So there's actually a number of ways to do this, depending on the use case. And so like short circuit to a net step. So the fastest way to do that would probably be to use just the skip step. So the way that the skip step works is you choose filters. So like if someone has a tag, right? Let's say they have the holidays email tag. We can filter out anybody that has the holiday emails tag, and then we can select which step in the flow they skip to, and then that brings them down here. And you'll see the little purple arrow, the little purple line, bring them down. And so that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be if you have like a yes/no thing going on, right? And you want to send a bunch of people who have yes down one flow, bunch of emails or whatever, you can just leave the no branch empty, right? So this sort of like operates the same way. If all of this junk was in the yes branch, then you could just leave the no branch empty, and then that would just bring them down here, right? And they wouldn't get all of this stuff, right? So that's one way to do it. So there's, in the new flow editor is both amazing and terrible for two reasons. It's amazing because there's so many possibilities, and it's terrible because there's so many possibilities. and like, so the original reason for not doing branching in the funnel editor, like when Groundhogg originally went out, as number one, because it's hard. Number two, is because coming from Infusionsoft and coming from Keep, the amount of possibility was often a hindrance for those who are not necessarily as experienced marketers or people using those products. And the original intention for Groundhogg was to sort of fit that more inexperienced sort of persona, right? Where it's just like you start and then you go down, right? It's like form and then email series, right? And that was like the really straightforward, simple way of thinking about it. But as Groundhogg grew and got more advanced and added more features, we kept getting feedback from people being like, the funnel editor as it is limiting in the number of possibilities and the things that people want to do and the kind of flows that people want to create with branching and split testing and random distributions and stuff. And so our persona isn't that sort of inexperienced marketer anymore. It's agencies that are highly qualified and highly experienced. And so that's why we're here today. I'm thinking of someone in the flow that a new event skips where they were in the flow before the event. Oh yeah. So what you do for that is, so someone requests a lead magnet, right? And then they're going. You want to track if they downloaded it, right? You go down here and we're just going to stick in another trigger, link click, right? Copy the link, go put that in your email somewhere. Boom. So now they get the email. If they click the link, then they're going to go here. You'll notice that above triggers that are inside the flow, meaning that they're just not starting the flow, they say until. So basically the way it works is that they're going to do all of this stuff until they click that link, and then they're going to keep on going. I think that's what you mean. I think that's the answer to your question. Yeah, this is the way that it's always worked as well. So I mean, they used to be called benchmarks. So inner benchmarks, so benchmarks that don't start the flow, always acted as sort of like these magnets that as soon as they're triggered, they just pull context from wherever they are and then keep going. And you can use triggers right at the end as well. So if I put like a tag applied here, so as soon as the customer tag is applied, then regardless of where they are in the flow before that time, as soon as the customer tag is applied, they're going to go here and then they're going to continue on in the flow. So that's how triggers work. And I think that's what you mean in terms of like short circuiting the flow. It's like as soon as the customer tag is applied, then regardless of where they are, they skip immediately to that point in the funnel. So the previous flow steps don't prevent skipping many steps. No. I'm going to go with no. I think what you're asking is that if they're here, right? If they're here and there's more steps, that it doesn't skip because there's more stuff that happens. And no, that's not the way that it works. So regardless of where they are, as soon as a trigger is triggered, they're going to go to that trigger, regardless of where they are, skipping anything that's in between. And so if you don't want that to happen, then don't use a trigger, because that's just how they work. That's what they do. Okay. We've been streaming for an hour, and I think that's a good amount of time. So this is going to be a last call for questions, and then we're going to call it. Last call for questions. I know that there's like a 30-second delay or something, so I'm just going to sit here in silence for 30 seconds and wait for anything to come in. And if nothing happens in 30 seconds, then we're going to call it. And I'm going to put on some music while we... Okay, so no questions. Thank you all for coming. It's been fun hanging out. I hope you liked our trip down memory lane and older versions of Groundhogg. I had a lot of fun going through that. I haven't done that. I didn't plan this out. I didn't plan that out before going live. I didn't even test it to make sure that it works. Like I did this for the first time in 8 years. And so I hope you enjoyed that, because I certainly did. And I might like re-record like a video to post on YouTube about that later, or just cut it out of this. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for hanging out. We'll be doing more live streams next week, or maybe the week after. I don't know yet. We're gonna come up with an actual like schedule, because we need to bring back office hours. Like, people are always asking me for office hours, and I think it's worth having those. We used to do them really, really regularly, but like a bunch of people didn't show up, so we kind of just like stopped doing them. And maybe it's because we did them too frequently. But we should probably restart those. So we'll be live again, and you can come hang out with us, and we'll have fun. It's been fun hanging out with you. Thanks for using Groundhogg. Thanks for your support with 4.0. We'll see everybody soon. Thanks. Have a wonderful rest of your day.